In my Dante Bichette video, I explained why he was such a low-valued player despite being a great hitter. In a 7-season stretch in which he played over 1,000 games and had an adjusted OPS of 112, Bichette was only worth 4.8 WAR. That's not as bad as it gets though. Who is the worst player that was also a good hitter? What is a good hitter? Well, that depends who you ask. For this video, I'll define a good hitter as any player with an adjusted OPS above 100. 100 is the average, so any hitter with an adjusted OPS over 100 is technically an above average hitter. With all players we evaluate, we need a sample size. Typically, when I use a sample size for hitters, I like to use at least 3,000 plate appearances. Why 3,000? It's the minimum amount of plate appearances Baseball Reference uses for evaluating career leaders in statistics. If a batter has 2,999 career plate appearances and has 2,999 career hits, he will not be the all-time leader in batting average despite a perfect 1,000 average because he has under 3,000 career plate appearances. I have no idea why it is, but 3,000 seems like a solid sample size, at least for Baseball Reference. The player with the lowest WAR with a career adjusted OPS over 100 and at least 3,000 plate appearances is Steve Balboni. Balboni was a first baseman who played for 11 seasons in the major leagues from 1981 to 1993, most notably for the Royals in the mid-80s. It was in Kansas City he set the franchise record for home runs in a single season with 36 in 1985. Balboni was a slugger who hit a lot of home runs and also struck out often. Nearly 25% of Balboni's career plate appearances ended in a strikeout. He averaged over 30 home runs per 162 game average in his career, and despite only playing for the Royals for 4 seasons, is in the top 15 for home runs hit in their franchise history. Despite the power, Balboni finished his career with a 0.8 WAR and 101 adjusted OPS. Why is his WAR and adjusted OPS so low if he was such a great power hitter? His adjusted OPS is low because of his batting average and on-base percentage. In his career, he hit .229 with a .293 on base and a .451 slugging. Balboni may have hit many home runs, but was as bad as it gets on getting on base. He was also a poor defender at an unimportant position. Those two aspects will hurt your value. In fact, despite only being worth 0.8 WAR, Balboni had 2.2 WAR in 1984. He was that bad in his career outside of a couple seasons in the mid-80s. So there's your answer. Steve Balboni is the worst player to be an above-average hitter. But that's not good enough for me. Balboni may be the worst value player with above-average hitting, but he was still worth something. 0.8 WAR may be very low, but it's not 0. Which player is the absolute worst value player of all time despite being an above average hitter? For that, let's remove that 3,000 career plate appearance minimum. The player with the lowest amount of WAR has double the amount of the player in second. At negative 2.4 WAR, the worst player of all time to have also been an above average hitter was Mike Jacobs. Jacobs made his major league debut on August 21, 2005, in which he hit a home run in his very first major league at-bat. Just one of 130 players in baseball history to accomplish that feat. Jacobs had a monster rookie month in 2005, hitting 11 home runs across 100 at-bats and slashing .310 with a .375 on base and a .710 slugging. Good enough for an adjusted OPS of 180. Those 11 home runs are tied for third most within a player's first 30 games. Jacobs was traded to the Marlins in the offseason, and in 3 seasons for Florida, he hit .258 with a .314 on base and a .483 slugging, good enough for an adjusted OPS of 105. He hit 69 home runs, including a high of 32 in 2008. He was a classic slugging first baseman, but couldn't seem to attain the same success he had in 2005. He was a talented slugger that struggled to get on base and also struggled defensively. His defense was really that bad. In 2008, Jacobs hit 30 home runs and had an OPS over 800. He was worth -2 WAR. Jacobs had -7.3 D WAR in his career. For all MLB players in history to play in as many games or fewer than Jacobs has, it's the record for lowest D WAR of all time. His -3.2 D WAR in 2008 is one of the lowest D WARs in a single season for a first baseman. He may have been a decent hitter, but it didn't make up for his terrible defense. Mike Jacobs will go down as the worst valued player in baseball history to have also been an above average hitter.